All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Patrick, and welcome to Meditations on Being. I wanted to do a Let's Paint today. So I've got this 5x7 canvas that has already been stained, and I'm going to put on the screen the painting that I'm working from. And so, yeah, I just want to start by blocking in some of the dark colors, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, I wanted to talk about some spiritual things that I've been thinking about as I paint this. And first I'm just doing a light coat of the darks and kind of getting the shapes in. So yeah, this has been a very, very interesting time for me. And I kind of suspect that if you've found this video, you also have been going through kind of similar things. Because I think that if you're finding this, you're kind of on the same path and you were probably meant to find this video. So what do I mean by that? There's been a lot of different things changing in the world, and the world is kind of in chaos right now, and that's a reflection of the changes that we're going through in the universe. It's kind of chaotic as a reflection of the change, or so that things get torn down before they get built back up, because we're kind of entering a time where many of us are shifting from a fourth density to a fifth density Earth. And so if you're unfamiliar with the density idea, it's a concept that was, I believe, introduced by this entity called Ra, who you may have heard of from Egyptian folklore, or I don't know what you want to call it. Egyptian religions, like ancient Egyptian. So Ra is a god, but in the, I think, 1980s, I believe, this group of people, or one person, I can't exactly remember, they claim to have channeled through this entity named Ra, who was the Ra that we're familiar with from Egyptian. And this Ra said that basically the Egyptians got it wrong because they kind of weren't in a place to understand, what was going on with this, like what the message was. And so they got some things right and some things wrong. And that's kind of the moral of my current understanding of things, is that's kind of how society has, all religions throughout history have sort of been sort of the same idea. It's that they either get the ideas from the heavens through meditation or something along those lines, contemplative practices. But when they try and translate it, there's stuff that's lost in translation at some point. And so they're kind of like half-truths. Like the perfect example of this is that Jesus says, you shall not, or Christianity says, like, you shall not take my name in vain. Like you're not supposed to curse or like defame God in any way. Something like that is how it's interpreted. But the actual interpretation, according to Bashar, that it was originally is, and I'm probably getting this wrong, I can put it on the screen now, but the original translation was something like, all things are God, not like you can't call anything God except me. So it's like different ways, these things have come in different ways to Earth. They've come in through through different paths. So one path is the spiritual side, where you kind of get a contemplative practice, and you get this understanding from the spiritual world presented to you. Another way is with with aliens coming down and contacting humans, and the humans misunderstanding. It's kind of like a Western thing, though, because like indigenous tribes apparently have had contact with aliens and understood kind of what they are and what they've been saying. But it's more on like the Western philosophies and Eastern religions that have been kind of the more main religions. Those have been the ones that have gotten these things wrong. So needless to say, the aliens will be joining us here shortly. We're going to be having open contact, which is basically the aliens will show up and say, hey, we do exist. They'll hold like a press conference, and they'll hold a press conference, introduce themselves, and that will be that. They'll sort of see where we want to go with that information. And this sort of gets into one of the topics that I'm understanding now to be called the splitting prism, or the Great Split, something along those lines. It is a time of divergence between people who kind of want to stay in the old fear-based Earth system, and those who are moving to the more love-based. And I guess that kind of, when I say it like that, it sounds like it is, there's definitely a value judgment here, but it's not intended to have a value judgment associated with it. It's, different strokes for different folks, and some people are not done with what they came here for. If you incarnated in a life where you were supposed to have certain types of experiences, certain types of things happen, then you will have those. And it might not be your time to, move on to the more, what I just termed as the more loving version of Earth. But those of us, I probably include you, or probably included, I include myself, are hoping to move on toward the more lovingly oriented timelines. And so this is going to be a large divergence time for us. Kind of rambling a little bit, apologize for that, but I'm kind of just letting things flow and going with the painting. Focusing on the painting, I mean. So, what else did I want to talk about? This is not actually what I wanted to talk about today, but whatever, we're going with it. Right, so lots of things have been happening in my universe that are sort of like awakenings. There's a lot of changes going on. Kind of, I guess you could call it a little bit of chaos, but it's not truly necessarily like explicitly just chaos. It depends, like, so one of the things to mention when talking about like the chaos of the world right now is that nothing has meaning until you assign it that. I forget which philosopher said it or who it was, but there's some quote that's nothing has meaning, good or bad, until the interpreter decides it so. Something like that. I'm not doing well with my quotes today, but that's true. Like, nothing, there can always be a silver lining to everything, or there can always be, something that you see as wrong with any other situation. And so there's been a lot of chaos going on, and the changes are kind of reflected in my mental state internally, my internal mental state. Just give me 1 second. Just trying to get this in here. Finding it a little bit hard to talk in paint today, but we're going with it. Need this to be bluer. So, right, what are the changes that I've been experiencing? This is what I originally wanted to talk about. So I have found, since my sort of spiritual awakening, that I have these new passions, and the passions have been painting, this YouTube channel, and baseball was the other main one. And I'm still, into those ones, but there's some other things that are emerging, and they're extremely surprising to me. So one of the things that I've been really interested in, for out of nowhere seemingly, is Japanese. So I've been really drawn to learning Japanese, and I'm not. It's kind of a different. I almost hesitate to say learning Japanese, because it's not like I've tried to learn languages in the past, and to me it's just been kind of an awful drop my brush. It's kind of been an awful process of feeling like I need to master this thing. I really want to acquire these skills, and I need to devote all this time and dedication to it. And I'd kind of judge myself harshly if I wasn't keeping up with my studies, etc., stuff like that. And it's the way that I've been approaching my learning of Japanese is more like I'm playing with Japanese. It's not like I'm learning like I have a goal to learn it, although, who knows what the excitement is and who knows how far that'll take me. Maybe it'll end up being that I do go kind of as far as I can with the Japanese, and I someday, have kind of some expertise in it. But that's not my focus right now. My focus is on, I'm just interested in the characters of the Japanese alphabet. So it's fascinating to me how different it is from the characters, and just in general from the format of the Romance languages and Germanic languages, which I believe English is not technically a Romance language, but it shares a lot with it. So it is just fascinating to me how it's almost like they never went through a process to simplify things in the way that it seems like the Latin languages did. And if you think about even just French, French has a specific committee that meets to discuss what's the direction the French language is going in, and they simplify things. And in Spanish, every letter, almost universally, every letter for the most part has one pronunciation for it. And the same with German. English is kind of the opposite of that, in that we have annoyingly many different ways to pronounce individual letters. A could be apple, so it sounds like ah, or about, which is like a U kind of sound, stuff like that. So, yeah, Japanese has these three separate lettering systems, like three separate alphabets, and they're used, like two of those have the same sounds, but different characters, and they're like, one is used for like when you want to emphasize something, or you're writing something where someone has an accent. It's just like crazy different, crazy complicated, and I just find that like fascinating. And it's also interesting to me to like look at the to just see what the letters are and just try drawing them. So I cannot explain why I'm drawn to this, but I am, and I'm following that passion. There was another passion that I got recently that just kind of like was out of nowhere and made no sense. I don't know, it'll probably come back to me, but super, super fascinating. Just the way that things are, and I'm just going with the flow, and seeing what comes up, seeing what comes out of it. And it's just very interesting that it's like, it's not like I left baseball behind and now I'm like done with baseball, but it is a bit like, that. The baseball obsession is like past or passing, and I move on to these new obsessions that are like I can't explain, and they're absolutely out of nowhere. But it is so interesting. And so I don't know, is anyone else on this kind of a path where you feel like you are changing very quickly? It's almost like my soul is preparing me for something that I'm unaware of, and that is super interesting. Like, what could it possibly be? And I'm trying not to like speculate too much about it, because it's like, who knows and who cares in some sense. It's like if I do know why I'm into something, me in particular, I always want to like rush to the end goal of whatever it is. And so if it's like, oh, I'm learning Japanese because I'm going to live in Japan, then it would put the pressure on me. I would put the pressure on myself to be like, oh, well, I really have to learn Japanese then because I gotta move to Japan. So in some sense, I guess it's good that things are somewhat hidden from me in this case. But I don't know. It's super interesting. I wish I could think of what the other thing that I've been really interested in recently is. Just want to block in some of these bigger darks down here. I wrote it down. Could get my notebook and see. Might be helpful. Let me pause. Okay, yeah, so what the other thing is I've been really into like kind of the nerdier things. So I've never been like into anime, and I'm actually not into anime. That's not what it's not what's driving this new interest. But what I am into is like computer things, but like specifically like, I don't know, Linux and like Unix, and I'm not describing it well. Sorry, I'm just focusing on the painting. It is today a little bit hard to paint and talk. The there's a YouTube channel called Lori Wired, where she does like back engineering of, she's like a back engineering person, which I don't exactly know completely what that is, but something to do with like figuring out what was hacked or in what way something was hacked. So like reversing out the hack and understanding what's going on there. But it's super interesting. She just covers all these different topics, like what would happen if CPUs just stopped being manufactured? Like, what's the timeline? How would things go? How would they break down? Over what timescales would they break? Stuff like that. And I just am finding that kind of thing really interesting. I feel really drawn to it, which is strange. So one possible explanation and interpretation, because the mind does kind of wonder and wander. One possible interpretation of why I'm into Japanese and this kind of like nerd culture type thing is that that's something that I've always struggled with, is being my true authentic self and like allowing myself to go there and be like totally nerded out. In some ways I do that, and in some ways I don't. And the energy in some of the Japanese fandom is something that has been a little bit of a challenge for me, in that like it is reflecting to me a way in which I'm not free, essentially. I've been noticing that I don't let myself get as nerdy as maybe I could. Like I stop myself from, maybe I see that Japanese fandom or like K-pop fandom as like overwhelming because it's just kind of like it's too much. But one of the things that I've been working on and going through, thinking about a lot, is how to be my own authentic self, and they just kind of go hand in hand. Like expressing extreme nerdiness is sort of a way; it's an acceptable format for people to express themselves. You might judge it, perhaps as I do or did, from the outside if you don't have that culture, but they themselves, the people expressing those things, are very comfortable expressing what they're into. Like if you think about people at an anime convention or whatever, they're really into it, and they kind of don't care what other people think about that. And that is inspiring, definitely inspiring in a way. It is also something that I'm, working towards, leaning towards, wanting to be more like. And so I could see that being a potential explanation of like, why am I drawn to these things? The other thing that I'm really getting out of it and really enjoying is that it is the energy. So this is one of the things that I've really been noticing and focusing on in recent times. Recent times? What am I talking about? In recent days, is the feeling difference, the feeling and the energy difference between different, I want to call them like systems. So systems probably isn't a good word, but like the nerdy, I can feel a difference. There is a difference between like the realm of computers and the realm of sports, or like let's just say like the normal social engagements with other people. Like humanity feels very different from a computer in the energetics of it. I think that's probably the best way that I can say it. It's like, that's too dark. I gotta go lighter. the energetics of, so like everything is part of the universe, right? Everything you can think of is existence, and existence is, we are part of existence. And so like there's different realms, different universes, different realities. Like you could picture this became very clear to me recently when I was looking at like the fractals, like the Mandelbrot set, and there was a very, very cool and interesting visualization that I saw in a video. I'll link it down below if I remember. That was basically like about how double pendulums are not chaotic, because that's like a common phrase or refrain, is that double pendulums are these chaotic systems. And this video demonstrated that there are regions in which they behave chaotically in parameter space, but they are not like uniformly chaotic. So I think it was something like double pendulums are chaotic, as in like they're not chaotic. I don't know. It was a funny title, but it was just a very pretty visualization. And when I was looking at the visualizations that they showed in that, and some other ones too about some kind of transform. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Another mathematical expression. I realized that like this is the universe too. Like these are real things. This is like looking into another reality. Like we have the reality that we live on Earth, and we're like very familiar with what that reality is like. But there's also these other realities too that are still realities. Like they're sets of ideas, complete sets of ideas, and complete places in their own right that you can look into by plotting them on a map or plotting them on a graph. And it was just really fascinating. So I was thinking and feeling into these different things, and like those mathematical expressions and equations have a very distinct feeling in your chest and in your head when you feel into like, what is this space like? What does this feel like? And it feels extremely different from the feelings that I get around Japan and around computers. Computers are a lot more similar to that, but it's there's a dog barking outside. Sorry, that's why I was pausing. I don't know. It's just fascinating to feel the difference between these different energies or different realities, or I don't know exactly what to call it, but super, super interesting. So that's something that I've been like really excited about, is like feeling into and seeing what are these different energies that I can feel. Like they're kind of like, and I don't know if this is like really true. We'll have to ask like a spirit in the spirit realm, or the aliens when they do show up. Like, is this truly a different realm, or is this just kind of I'm just feeling the energetics and they're all in the same realm? Super interesting. But like these are the things that I'm now really interested in, and they're changing and they're very different from where I had been interested in, and that is absolutely fascinating and absolutely wild. And one of the things that I've just intuitively felt as I've kind of been in these spaces is that I don't want to grasp and cling on to what was the past. Like, I don't want to get bogged down in worrying about like, oh, I liked baseball. I need to, like baseball forever, or else what kind of a fan am I? Those kind of things really don't resonate with me right now. It's like I am in many ways in my life feeling the call that like however long something is here for me, however long it's interesting, is like that's the course that the thing took. It's not I'm really open to whatever the next interesting thing that shows up is for me. It's just an absolutely fascinating, wild ride right now, and I don't want to get stuck somewhere just because I feel like it feels like that's an old, outdated way of thinking for my current situation, current mindset. So I don't know. I set the intention before that this would be helpful to somebody, my ramblings. I don't know. Perhaps it's only helpful to me to ramble. But whatever way it is, I trust and know that it is as it's meant to be. Someone will get something out of this, and even if that someone is just me, that's totally fine. Yeah. One of the other things that I've been kind of stuck in or struggling with is sort of impatience, in the sense of like I feel like things are moving in a certain direction in my life. Like I feel like I'm meant to, you know, leave my job at some point and pursue creative endeavors like full time. And it's kind of, not happening very quickly, I guess is the way to phrase it. It's not necessarily that it's not happening very quickly. It's just like I, as a person, Patrick, need to feel like I'm making progress on things. And I guess that's the old Patrick in there. It's an old mode of thinking that I'd kind of like to get away from. Well, I would really like to get away from it. But it's kind of where I'm at right now still. And so I'm trying to reframe it in terms of just breathe and remember that we are where we're supposed to be. And I'm even this aspect of myself, like I'm supposed to have this aspect where I want to work on stuff, I want to make progress, I push things forward, because that's who I am, for better or for worse. And so I guess like learning the patience is a journey in some sense, but it's also kind of it's part of it, like learning how to interact with this new space, learning how to become who I'm going to be, learning how to raise my vibration to the point that it's as high as it can be, to make it easier to go through the coming portal, I guess you'd call it. These are the things that I spend time worrying about, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't worry about it. But I really just have to kind of breathe. Like, there's a interesting, confusing tension that I've found in the spiritual world right now, among spiritual circles, I guess, and that is like, to what degree, this is an open question for me, to what degree am I already perfect and I don't need to, work on alchemizing things anymore? I don't need to work on, healing myself and healing others and all these things. I don't need to do that. That's like one question. To what degree is that true? And then to what degree is it true that I do need to change things. Like I do need to worry less about it, stay more in the moment. Like these seem to be kind of these feel like they're contradictions in some sense. And kind of the way that I've been thinking about it is like, okay, yeah, they kind of are contradictions, right? But they're there's this concept in physics that where like wave-particle duality, like light in some situations behaves like a wave, and in some situations behaves like a particle. And you use the one that helps you for your problem. You think of light in the way that helps you for the problem that you're working on. And you just kind of accept the fact that in some scenarios it behaves like one and in some it behaves like the other, and that's strange, but well, one kind of lazy problem that we've encountered in physics is that we don't think about why things are the way they are. And I think that we should think about why things are the way they are, because that is how you figure out stuff that you don't know. But anyway, not anyway, what am I talking about? Right, so there could be two ways of looking. This is just how I'm rationalizing it right now. There could be two ways of looking at the universe. It's like, yes, you are perfect. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You did create yourself perfectly before your incarnation. You are equipped with absolutely everything you need right now. You don't need to change anything. But also, you are this thing that you're this thing that does change things. You're this thing that, me in particular, I am something that does pay attention to, am I doing things in the best way? And if not, what more could I do? That kind of thing. And that's okay. That's what I'm supposed to be. So I don't know. It seems like it's a conundrum, but maybe it's not quite a conundrum. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear if anyone has any thoughts on that. So the other kind of aspect about this with like trying to rush things for me in particular is that like one, I was told, and this feels to be true, I was told that I'm kind of sitting in this place of more multi-dimensional timelines. So I'm kind of like feeling the future, but it's not yet accessible. And so that's where kind of the frustration comes from, because it's like I can feel this thing, I can reach out to it, I know something's coming, I'm going to be something that I'm not currently, but I don't know what it is, and I'm kind of stuck in this mindset of like, let's try and figure out what it is that I'm supposed to be or supposed to be doing. And, trying to make something happen, trying to make something work. And nothing's really working. And so that's why I get impatient. I mean, lots of things are working, but I haven't like become that great thing that I feel myself to be and am noticing is available to me in my vision of the future. And so that's, a little bit bothersome to me with my personality. And part of me says like, okay, well, obviously it's okay. We're all going to go wherever we're going to go. And like I said, part of me says like, yeah, this is just how it's gonna go, and I've just gotta breathe, and that's the little quick adjustment that I need to make. I don't know, I kind of forgot exactly where I was going with this, but I don't know. Maybe I said something that was helpful to someone. So nice and quiet when I stop talking. So one of the things that I was seeing recently is that you really want like a big dollop of paint in order to do these little adjustments on the over wet paint. So I'm trying that out. This has kind of been a new exercise for me. Still getting like a bleed through, so it's not quite as advertised. But yeah. What else is there to talk about? I guess my hopes and dreams for after open contact is something that could be interesting to talk about. I am hoping. So I've been made to understand that things are going to be. What was the exact phrase? Lots of us have very vivid imaginations, but we're still going to be surprised by some of the things that are made available to us after open contact. And that sounds very interesting and cool. One of the things that I'm hoping for, if I just like brainstorm, like wishful thinking, is I absolutely hate air travel. I've done it a lot in recent years, and it's just like such a long day to fly. We fly down to South America like at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, and that's just such a long day. So what I'm really hoping for is like them granting us the ability to use portals so we can like whatever go to Paris from New York City in like I don't know, however long it takes to walk through a portal. Just like that would be so nice to be granted this access. Would love to see the airline industry go down. One of the things that is kind of occurring to me in all of this is that it is really going to change. Like, if we just play that scenario out, like, okay, we have these portals open up, that changes like a lot about the way the world would work, right? So, like, that kind of necessitates right away like a universal basic income, I think, and like price fixing of all these things. I don't know. There's going to be like a lot to figure out, and hopefully our alien friends have examples of how this worked for them, and we can kind of play along with that and figure out how we want to operate here on Earth. But I don't know. It just seems like the idea that we're going to have like unlimited 0 point energy available to us is just like really an exciting thing. Like, what could we do with 0 point energy? I don't even know if that's the right term. I should know because I'm a physicist, but unlimited energy, like, is it possible to break down all plastics? Like, do we need to can we stop using plastic? Like, what kinds of doors is this going to open up? It just is such a cool thought, such a cool experiment to play out in your mind. How can we clean up the earth? Like, what ways can we clean up the earth if we had unlimited energy? I don't know. There's going to be such cool things, I'm sure, that people are going to come up with. And yeah, like, how could our economies not crash in some sense if we introduce this brand new paradigm, which is basically like that. I think I'm ruining my tree here. That yeah, we all have free energy. So like, why would we pay for free energy? So then that's just going to have such big ripple effects on the economy, and it's really going to be like a wild rest of our lives. But I'm not worried about it, and neither should you be, because we all signed up for this. This is, what we wanted to experience, which is why we're here at this time specifically. If you didn't want to experience it, you wouldn't have birthed yourself now. You wouldn't have incarnated now. And nothing can really happen to you. Like, truly, you're a soul. You've already chosen how you're going to die. You don't remember when you're going to die, but you did choose it. You remember how, you remember when. Somewhere inside you. And yeah. Just some interesting musings. I don't know. It's just really cool to come back to the idea of like, we get a chance now in the very near future to pick, like, how do we want to live? Like, what's the world that we want to inhabit? And feeling into these different energies of like what different universes or paradigms, whatever you want to call it, how they feel. Like, what's the one that you want to inhabit? That's what I've been thinking a lot about. Like, just paying attention to my own thoughts and thinking, like, where are my thoughts leading me? Like, what is the, where do I spend my energy? Where do I spend my time? And when you pay attention to that, when I pay attention to it in me, for me in particular, it's, I can tend to spend my energy in, it's a little bit too late, huh? Tend to spend my energy in a place of, a lot of times I spend it in this worrying mode. And when I catch myself now in that worrying mode, I tend to try to direct myself more towards like thinking positively about things, or like, what is the world that I want to inhabit? What are the things that feel good to me, and focusing instead on those. So, like, for instance, my wife and I toured some very expensive, very nice homes recently. And we just like, we have a particular style that is kind of like a modern, clean aesthetic. I don't know quite how to describe it, but we have a particular style, and it's like we're drawn to that style because that's what's for us. It like makes us feel expansive. It makes me feel like I could focus in that house. I could, create great art. It's like a similar feeling. I don't know if you've ever worked in like a coffee shop where you're always able to really focus when you're in this coffee shop. That's kind of the feeling that I get in this style of home. And that just means that it's for us. Like, that's our jam. And damn the price. Who cares what the price is? So it's like, it's kind of trying to not tell yourself stories about how you can't afford a house, or you're not worthy of a house, because this type of house, because only a CEO lives in this kind of house, or whatever the things that come up in your mind are. It's why tell yourself a story that makes you unhappy and you don't actually even know if it's true? So like, this is the kind of classic thing about manifestation. It's like the way that you talk to yourself matters, and what you think about matters. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of just it. So why limit yourself when you don't have to? It's not like I don't know. It's just it's a shift in mentality that's very different from the way that I think almost all of us live. But I think there's definitely very successful people who've accidentally found, not through spirituality, but accidentally have found their way into that kind of living where they think more positively about what they're actually able to do, instead of focusing on limitations. And I think that's awesome. I'm going to push some of this sky a little bit bluer, a little bit darker, and then a little bit lighter. That's too blue. Yeah, so these are the kind of things where it's like, okay, there's a universe where me and my family live in a house just like those. And I want to go on to that future rather than, a different one. And so just focusing, trying to catch myself and accept my thoughts and say, thank you, thanks for coming, kind of thing. But that's not where I'm going to focus my energy on, and instead replacing them with the thoughts that are a bit more happy. Sort of, if it's all going to be a thought experiment, why not do a thought experiment where everything works out for me and everyone I know and love, and then we see what happens in the universe. These are kind of the tools that I am being given by the aliens, by the extraterrestrial friends. And yeah, I kind of presented them as if It's not as if these aren't the exact instructions, but those are the exact instructions for how to make the universe work, how the universe actually works. Let's go a little bit yellower, a little bit more yellow, a little bit more white. Ooh, I just had one of those really vivid flashbacks to dreams. I mentioned it in a previous video that I've been experiencing these where I'm just going about my regular day and I have a super vivid, like almost reliving of a dream while I'm in the waking world. And super interesting. That one that I just had was, I believe, from last night. If not last night, then some other recent night. And I already lost it again because I started talking about this, talking about it generally, but it has been super wild and vivid. Yeah. Oh, the flash that I had in my mind when I just experienced that was that this one had something to do with what was going on. And so I wondered if, apparently when you're dreaming, you're in like a different plane of existence. And I wonder if what I was just saying kind of connected me momentarily closer to that plane. I can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous video, but my synchronicities have been overpowering me, like numerical synchronicities. Like my favorite number is 37, and I'll just see 37 like all the goddamn day. And like 1, 2, 3s and 11s and sequences of numbers like 11, 12. Just, yeah, wild all day long. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And so my understanding is that that's showing that I am in alignment with my higher self, which is nice. Nice when I find that. Puberty. Nice when I discover that that is what's going on. I think I like that sky. It's a bit different scale than in the reference, but oh, sorry if I'm holding this up in front of the camera. Yeah, just a super interesting internal dialogue going on, internal world. Things are absolutely wild right now. The explosion of my inner world is indescribable. Just different feelings and different energies and everything going on. And I wanted to share that with you. I've kind of resisted coming on here. I've thought many times about how I should record, and then I'll feel bad and say to myself, like, well, I only thought that I should record because I'm afraid that if I don't record, then I'm not really starting this channel anymore, etc. Lots of inner dialogue options, things going on. But this recently has felt very expansive, and interesting to me to do. And one of the things that I'm fighting against, and I think a lot of people fight against when they kind of start down this sharing endeavor, is the idea of like self-censorship. Like what do I want to hold out? What do I want to say? Like, how do I want to phrase things? Like, I don't want to sound crazy or whatever the concern is. But I think, I hope that I'm, it's a little insidious. So it's like, part of it is I've already censored some things by sort of phrasing things in specific ways, kind of by accident, just because I'm not used to talking about these things out loud. But part of it is also overcome already. So it's like, I've seen the example of other people saying like they really try to not self-censor themselves, and so I'm just, letting it flow and letting this be out there as it is. I'm not going to edit this. I just want to get used to the feeling of putting things out there, because who knows? You never know why you're drawn to something, right? And so I'm drawn to making this content, and it may be for the content itself, who knows? Or it may be to like gain confidence in my ability to kind of speak and present what it is that I feel and what it is that I want, and explain my thought process out loud. And so I have to be open to all things. Certainly is, for me, has been difficult. It's been a challenge to word my internal thoughts. Like, things have been so clear in my mind, but they've not been very clear when I say them. I've got to think really hard about what the hell I'm talking about. And that is interesting. So I'm just going to come in here and dot this. Put this star on here. So anyway, getting close to the end of this painting. I could keep futzing around with it for a little while, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There, that feels better. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I want to come back into this gravel a bit more, push something. I should actually see if there's anything that catches the eye strangely from back here, like 7 feet away. I'm pretty happy with that. It's not too much color in the fields, but I think that's okay because it's supposed to be a nighttime scene. Yeah. Cool. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you made it through to the end, give it a like. If you did not like this, then give it a dislike. Subscribe for more. And as always, what? I give you my deepest appreciation and love. All right. Thanks. Bye.